Welcome to Southern Orthopedic PrepZone Game Time, driven by Carl Cannon.
Hey guys, welcome in. It's James Phillips, Johnathan Bentley, Brian Hale. It's your DME PrepZone Game Time, and this week we've got Cordova and Oakman. I'm calling it the South Walker Showdown. It doesn't have a name, and that doesn't have a lot of razzle-dazzle to it, but we'll come up with something one year that's better.
We've got an entire offseason coming up. So.
Right.
Well, Parish Oakman never had a name, right?
No, I don't think so. But, I mean, we need a name for these rivalries that continue every year. And this is a pretty odd rivalry. I was talking to both the coaches earlier in the week and said that, you know, a lot of times, like we've got Oakman coming in, and they've got a 6-3 record. We think Oakman may roll over a 1-8 Cordova team. But in this rivalry, sometimes it's this team that comes up with a win. Like, we've seen that a lot.
Very strange. It's happened for years now.
Yeah.
And it's never made sense.
Yeah.
The records really...
Throw them out the window.
You know,
that's what people say.
That, but yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, the most interesting dynamic was last year. Oakman came in the contest 3-1. Cordova hadn't won a game yet, 0-5. Mm-hmm. Cordova comes in, they narrowly edge this contest 21-14, and they use that as a springboard to win the rest of the regular season, go on for a playoff.
Right. Now, do you think, last year Cordova still had a lot to play for. This year they don't have as much to play for, but this is probably this is their state championship game. So do they get up even more?
Yes, and it's at their place.
Right.
That's going to be interesting. I mean, I don't know why, but they always get up for it. And they have had a brutal schedule, so they're ready.
Oh, yeah. And the pit is somewhere that's a difficult place to play.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, if you're not used to it, hey, it's quite a different atmosphere.
I really feel like if there's a home field advantage in Walker County, it's in Cordova.
Yeah, it's funny, they widen actually more room on the sideline is probably 2 feet each.
Right.
I mean, because you're stuck with what you got down there.
That's right, yeah. All right, guys, what we'll do right now, Brian, you spent a lot of time this week with Cordova and Oakman. Jonathan's been at the volleyball tournament all week watching our teams play. I was a little out of pocket with some family stuff. So you spent time with Coach Hall and got his thoughts on this rivalry and what he feels is going to happen in the Cordova game. Anything you got to say before we go to that segment?
I always enjoy time with Coach Hall. You know, he's settled in really good with the coaches on our area. Both of the coaches have. So it's been really enjoyable week for me.
All right, well, let's go and see what Coach Hall had to say.
Well, Coach, when you take a look at this rivalry, you got a real good taste firsthand of how exciting and how crazy it can be last year. These kids, they grow up in communities close to each other, and some actually, since Parish is closed up, they're actually grow up in the same community and have picked different schools. Throughout the years, they've played toy bowl with each other, against each other, may have played each other in middle school, so the familiarity is there. How easy is it have been to get guys up for this week and say, hey, look, you're playing Cordova. This is for the pride of the community.
Yeah, you don't have to get them up. They know. I mean, these kids their families are it's interconnected through families. You know, you got some of our players have family members at Cordova. Some of theirs have family members here. Like you said, a lot of them went to school together growing up. Their parents work together, and so it's it's woven in every fabric of your life. You go to church, and there's some people that live in Cordova there. So everywhere you go, it's just kind of part of the deal, and which is really neat. And that's kind of what makes football really unique and special around here. Is you got these little rivalries of Cordova and Oakman and Dora and Cordova and all these. They're all really cool things that build a lot of pride in the community. And it just gives something for the kids to look forward to. It's a great week 10 because of that. I mean, you don't have to get your kids up week 10 because they're going to be up for the game because of who it is. So, we're excited about it. I think our kids are excited about it, and it's going to be a great environment, and look forward to getting over there.
On top of it being week 10, the last week, you guys, of course, are going on to the postseason. This game could have some determination into figuring out placement. Mm-hmm. On top of that, you obviously don't want to go into the playoffs with the loss. So how important is it that you guys walk off the field on Friday night with that W behind you?
Yeah, I mean, we approach it like any game. Like every time we play, it's the same approach, And I know that's coach speaking, that's what people say, but we don't – Like, it doesn't matter if we were in the playoffs, not in the playoffs, if they were. And in this game, the records don't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter. But for us, it's just the next game. And what we try to talk about and try to get our kids to understand is each week is an opportunity for you to get better and better and better and better and better. And so this is just another week. Obviously, the implications there are some playoff implications that could take place in the game. So, but that does it. We would approach it the same way if it wasn't. We would approach it to go and play our best football and give our best shot and prepare the right way and hopefully, come out with a win. So that's the mindset either way. But you're right. It does have some implications in where we could go and where we'd finish. So it's a big game either way. So we're excited, and again, like I said, we're looking forward to the challenge and the opportunity.
Lastly, Coach, Cordova, no matter who they've played, no matter what they've scored, the one thing that they've done consistently all year long is throw the ball successfully. Cody Hedrick and his wide receiving core have done a really good job. Their completion percentage is really good. They're usually throwing anywhere from 150 to 250 yards per game.
Yeah.
Obviously, your pass defense is going to have the work cut out for it, covering that receiving core, as well as your defensive line getting penetration in there.
Yeah.
How do you see, how integral is them being able to keep that contained for Friday night?
Yeah, and what's impressive about it is the level of competition they've done it against. I mean, they're playing really, really athletic and big fronts and athletic on the back end. And he's a good little player. He's very heady. Obviously knows their offense, and I'm familiar with their coaches, and I know they do a great job with the passing game. So, it all starts up front. I mean, you got to get the way you affect the passing game the most is to affect the quarterback. So it starts with pressure up front and being able to manage that. And then if you can do that without having to bring people and you can play 5 and 6 deep, it gives you a better shot against the pass. So we'll have to mix things up and try to confuse him and do a good job with that. But it all, like I said, it all starts up with getting pressure on him up front, because if you let him sit back there, he's plenty good enough to pick you apart. And I think he's shown that multiple times this year.
Welcome in, everybody. James Phillips here. It's a late night at the Daily Mountain Eagle studio. Brian Hale, how's it going, man? And comes out with a 1-point double overtime win, 35-34. The Vikings remain undefeated.
One of the assistants told me I think they're 5 points away from being 4-1.
Corner just completely turned for Oakman. They came out in the second half. They scored 20 points on 5 plays.
Cordova makes the playoffs. Who would have thought in week 5 that we would have said the Cordova Blue Devils are going to reel off 4 straight wins and clinch a playoff berth?
Well, I just think the first half was really Harmon Hill got after. I mean, they were playing with a little bit more effort and toughness,
just glad to catch it. Good, it was a good throw. Won the game.
All right, we're back. Guys, this week our Player of the Week is a little different than we've done in the past. It is a double winner, 2-time winner now, Austin Owens from Winston County. Man, this kid has had an incredible career, but just an incredible season as well.
That's how you want to go out your senior year. 1,500 yards already.
Right.
And at least 2 games left.
Right. Yeah.
And he's missed a game because it was forfeit.
Yeah.
So just monster season.
How many touchdowns has he got? Do you remember?
I think it's 18.
18 touchdowns. I mean, that's a lot of scores.
Yeah, it's really incredible.
And you've talked many times about how Winston County has a really strong running attack, but not much of a passing attack. Mm-hmm. It seems like they don't need it very often. I mean, you hand the ball to Austin Owens and let him do his thing.
There's only one thing, though. When you play a team, look what happened with them against Addison.
Right.
They held him to under 100 yards. Somebody eventually go out there and take care of it.
Right. Well, even though they did lose last week by a point, one thing that couldn't stop him was Aliceville. Mm-hmm. And so we had actually Brett Elmore caught up with him from WJLX Radio. He interviewed him this week. So let's go now and hear Brett talking to Austin Owens, and then we'll be back with our segments on Cordova.
The WJLX Daily Mountain Eagle PrepZone Player of the Week award goes to Winston County's Austin Owens. And Austin joins us on the phone now. Austin, the game the other night, last Friday, 39-38, a heartbreaking loss to Aliceville on the road, but you had a spectacular game. Talk about the game last Friday.
I mean, we played good. Like, we didn't start off like we wanted to. We was like, I guess, intimidated and stuff. But at the end of the game, we came together and tried to win.
Your night, pretty impressive. It was pretty clear cut who we're going to choose for Player of the Week. You could not deny your stats. 403 all-purpose yards against Aliceville on the ground, 248 yards on 18 carries. You had 3 returns on special teams for 100 yards and returned a fumble 55 yards. 4 touchdowns on the night. Talk about your performance.
I mean, I couldn't do it without my team. Like, if they wasn't blocking or if they wasn't causing plays on defense, I just couldn't do nothing without them.
You're up against the final week of the regular season. You're a senior. You got Falkville this week. Can't look ahead to Red Bay, obviously. Falkville's 8-1 coming in Friday night. What a tough tune-up for the playoffs, huh?
Yes, sir.
What do you know about Falkville and the keys to victory for Winston County coming up Friday night?
I know they're a pretty good team. They only lost one time this year. And I think our keys to win is to stop their running game.
Very good, Austin. Well, we appreciate it, and congratulations on being named the WJLX Daily Mountain Eagle PrepZone Player of the Week for the second time this season.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Southern Orthopedic PrepZone Game Time, driven by Carl Cannon. Presented by Kilgore Green Funeral Home. Nelson, Bryan, and Cross. Bank of Walker County. Jasper Main Street. Southern Orthopedic. And Carl Cannon.
All right, we're back. Now it's time to talk about the Blue Devils. You know a lot about Cordova. I mean, you've been around here for a long time.
I've seen some very good Cordova teams.
Right, yeah.
Very good.
Now, this year they're struggling, 1-8. But, they've had some close games, and they played just a murderous region going up to Class 5A. First time the school's ever been that large. That's been kind of a strange thing for us to see Cordova playing these Birmingham schools.
Yes, and I mean, I'd like to see what they would have done in 4A.
Right.
And I'm sure Palmer, he knew what he was getting into. I mean, it's just something you got to get used to.
Right.
This year was just going to be, let's fill out these teams and see how we did. They've almost beat a couple of them.
Yeah.
Of course, they didn't, but this will be a great finish to the year.
It would be.
Kind of like last year.
Right, yeah.
If they could get past Oakman.
When Brian, you sat down with Coach Palmer, he's done a really fantastic job of kind of fitting in, even though he only started at Cordova, a month or so before the season started.
Mm-hmm. And, he really is, for what they are going against, adversity-wise, he's done a really good job, guys. When you consider every single week, week in, week out, we see Cody Hedrick has a great completion percentage. I think it's got to be somewhere around 60%, and that's no matter who they play.
Right.
I mean, they could be playing somebody along the edges of Pleasant Grove, and he's still passing for 180 yards. Cordova's got excellent skill players. Their skill players match up really good. The problem is the up front battles.
Yeah.
And, of course, it's also a numbers problem, attrition that you also have to deal with. But I think he's done a fabulous job with the offense, getting a great passing system implemented, and it's really taken off.
Right, and you think they're only going to grow from here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, let's see Brian Hill's conversation with Coach Palmer now.
While the Cordova Blue Devils and the Oakman Wildcats have had contrasting results during the 2020 season, both want to end the year with a win. While the Blue Devils went winless in region play in their first year in Class 5A and recorded just one regular season victory, the Wildcats are heading to the playoffs for the 10th straight time and awaiting the pronouncement of who their first-round opponent will be. Regardless of each team's results this year, motivation for victory heading into the 51st meeting between the programs has not been in short supply. Cordova coach Justin Palmer, entering his first Blue Devil Wildcat matchup at the head of the program, knows the unique background that links the two teams. From some members of both squads attending Parish Elementary School before heading to Oakman or Cordova, to playing on the same Toy Bowl teams or lining up against each other for several years, the familiarity between the players is ever present and brings on a different level of excitement.
I know it's an important game to everybody here in this community and Oakman's community as well, and our kids are excited to play. I'm sure theirs are excited to play because they all know each other. Just like you said, they've played against each other since they were probably 5 or 6 years old, and some of them have been on the same team at times. So it's a neat experience, I'm sure, and I know a lot of those guys are good friends with each other, and it's one of those things that how you know, if you're a senior especially, you'll have bragging rights over your buddy, you know, for a long time to come, or they could have bragging rights over you. So I think it's a neat thing. It's cool for this county. It's a neat thing for both schools. It's obviously, like I said, very important to everybody here, and we're excited to have a home game against a big rival, having our first two games against Dora and Carbon Hill away, so it's exciting to have a home game against a big rival now.
Cordova's initial foray into Class 5A has been a struggle against programs with large roster numbers, while adjusting changes both on and off the field. Palmer stated his pride in his players' handling of the challenges they faced throughout the year and sees a victory on Friday night as both a great way to send off the seniors as well as positive momentum going into the offseason.
Yeah, it's been an odd and interesting and tough, difficult, all those things. It's been a crazy season. You know, I think our players have handled it so well, though. I'm so proud of them for that. And every week, you know, I just keep telling them we've had great weeks of practice too. That hasn't, just because our schedule's been tough, it has not stopped our kids from practicing hard, playing hard, working to get better, both as an individual, as a team, and as a program. But, you know, I keep telling them there's going to be a payoff somewhere. You know, I would like for the payoff to be Friday night for our seniors. It would be nice to have that for momentum heading into our off season. The payoff may not come, though. The payoff may be somewhere later in life where these kids are facing tough sit. Well, at that point they'll be adults, you know, and they would be facing some kind of tough situation, and hopefully they can look back on this season and how difficult it was, but how they pushed through, and maybe that's the payoff. I don't know, but there will be a payoff somewhere for each and every kid that's been on this team this year.
While this is Palmer's first year and first time to play against the Oakman Wildcats, he knows all too well the number of athletes on the Oakman team as well as the coaching job that is done by Coach Hall.
They're a very good team. They're very talented. They're well coached. Coach Hall's doing a great job over there. I have a lot of respect for him. And I've gotten to know him this year since I've been here. I think really the keys to, you know, coming out with a victory are going to be making sure that we protect the ball on offense, and that we're able to move the ball and pick up some first downs and get some positive momentum going early on offense, and then defensively just slowing them down. They have a lot of good players, like I said, and those guys with the ball in their hand, they're dangerous, and just eliminating those big plays and making them, if they're going to get something, make them earn it. You know, don't give up anything, you know, 50, 60-yard touchdowns, things like that. Make them earn every single yard and make it tough for them.
Okay, welcome back in, James, Johnathan, Brian. Guys, we're hitting playoff time now. So let's discuss what playoff teams that we know we're going to have, because we all know who's going to be there. We got from Walker County,
Oakman, who's the one team that we do not know where they're going to go yet.
Right.
There's a lot of still contributing factors, some of which they can contribute themselves. But a lot of it is also Vinemont and Winfield, how they're doing, J.B. Pennington. So that's in a series of flux. We do know they're going to go somewhere northeast towards the Fort Payne area. We just don't know who yet.
Well, and then we go from Oakman to we have Dora in the playoffs.
Yet again, it's a long trip.
Yeah,
they know where they're going to Madison Academy, #2 in the state, because those two forfeits really put them in a bind.
Right. So Dora's 4 seed coming out of their region. Oakman's 3rd seed coming out of their region. And then we've got, that's the only Walker County schools. Then we've got Summerton Christian as a private school from the county. They're going to
Not
Berry.
Far. Not far at all.
So it's a short trip to Berry. But Berry's been strong this year. They're always up and down. What do you think about Summerton Christian's chances against Berry?
That's going to be Berry comes from a very, very tough region.
Right.
And Summerton Christian, I mean, they're glad they're there.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they could pull an upset, but it would take a monumental game from them to win that.
All right, now we go to a couple of Winston County schools that have made the playoffs. We got Double Springs, Winston County. It's going to go to Red Bay. That's a tough draw for them.
Yeah, it is. And Red Bay's, that's typically, they're perennial, a lot like the next team we're going to mention. They're a perennial playoff contender. You always see Red Bay, and they're doing well.
Right. And then our final team, the only team that's going to host in all the teams that we cover, Addison. And they get to host first-round game as the number 2 seed from their region.
Yeah. Last week, Winston County losing, Addison winning, sealed that. Seems like Addison's always at home first round.
Right.
And hopefully they got upset last year.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
It was a really good team they played. So this year maybe they can have better luck.
Yeah. I'm really hopeful, that we've got a couple teams that'll pull off upsets and make it 2 or 3 rounds into the play. And once you get to winning a couple games in the playoffs, you never know what can happen.
Yeah, I'd like to see Oakman do something. They have the capability.
Right, and I really think if Oakman can pick up a win over Cordova in pretty convincing fashion, that's just going to propel them to the playoffs and give them momentum coming in.
Yeah, they need it.
All right, hey, babe, now we're going to talk about picks, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're pretty cut and dry this week.
Short list.
Yeah,
only 7 games.
Short list, 7 games. Let's start with, I'm going to cheat off your sheet here. No, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to DMEPrepZone.com. If you guys haven't done that this week, it's time to do that.
Do you want to talk about the forfeits?
We can talk. Do you want to go ahead and talk about the forfeits?
Curry has forfeit their game against West Point.
Right.
Brilliant forfeit against Carbon Hill. So Carbon Hill wins, Curry loses.
But now Carbon Hill's doing a jamboree.
Now Carbon Hill is playing the team Curry was supposed to play.
Right.
So Carbon Hill is going to West Point, but it will not count in the standings or anything like that.
It's kind of just an exhibition game.
Yeah, they needed a game to play. They haven't played in a couple of weeks.
Right. And they're not going to playoffs, so it's good to get one more game for those seniors and for that team.
Yeah, so everybody at home, if you start looking for Carbon Hill, it's a jamboree game.
Right. We won't have coverage of that because it is a jamboree. Okay, let's talk about, I think this is going to be a good game. Two schools that have winning records this year. Winston County, we just mentioned them going to the playoffs, and they're hosting Falkville. Falkville has really had a turnaround season. They've got a kid that grew up in Jasper, Jackson Blackwell. He's 6'6", 325 pounds. He would have been a starting lineman for Jasper this year, but his family had to move due to some job situations, and he's playing for Falkville, and evidently he has opened up some big holes.
Yeah, they've really, it's bad luck for Winston County to pick up Falkville now.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a non-region game, and you pick up one of the best teams in 2A.
And that's a team you probably would have thought a year or so ago when you made that schedule that they're not very good most years or a lot of years.
Yes, exactly. Now we'll help them going into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Get a test.
Yeah, it's going to give them a big test. Who did you pick in that one?
I went Falkville on that.
I went Falkville as well.
I went Falkville too. All right. Summerton Christian hosting Meek.
Summerton Christian.
Yeah, what are we doing that all together?
Summerton Christian. Okay. Cherokee at Lynn.
Oh, Lord.
Cherokee is one of the, they've struggled, let's put it that way.
You were just about to call them one of the worst teams in the state, weren't you? Weren't you?
Well, I don't want to talk
Johnathan tries to be
poorly
nice
about kids. You
right.
know, they're doing the best they can.
Yeah, I understand.
But, yeah, Lynn should end the season 4-6. Yeah. They've had a disappointing year. No, a lot of close losses. This will not be close.
Right. They have had a lot of close losses, and that's unlike a Lynn team. But I think they struggled with some injuries. They struggled with the COVID situation earlier in the year.
They really did.
Yeah.
So, the 2020, we didn't know what to expect from anybody.
Yeah, they have not had a good full roster, I believe, in quite a few weeks. So they should really be able to take out a lot of frustration this week. I did the math ahead of time. 420 to 52 is how much Cherokee's been outscored.
Oh, wow.
They're giving up 46 points a game, and aptly enough, one of the other teams in our area that knows Cherokee, Sumner Christian beat them 46-0.
Ooh, yeah, so there you go. All right, here's one. Dora and West Blockton. Dora's hosting West Blockton. Both teams are 5-4, but Dora has 2 forfeit losses. West Blockton has 2 forfeit wins. Did we all go Dora in this one?
We've had a couple of people on the limb.
Who didn't go Dora on the limb?
That would be Michael, and that would be the debuting Todd Foster.
Todd shouldn't even be on there.
Okay. And I don't know, after
that pick, and I don't know what Michael's thinking.
But, it is an interesting dynamic. We don't know exactly what we're going to see from Dora. They've been absent for 2 weeks. They had some roster problems before that.
That's true.
It is a little bit, it's probably out of all the high school picks, it's the only one that I think even Johnathan spent a little bit more time thinking on exactly.
Right.
So you don't know. Dora could come out like gangbusters, or it could take them a couple of quarters to get things back in sync again.
Right. Well, while y'all two thought about it, I want to tell the Dora kids out there, I didn't even think about it. I circled Dora's first pick I made, Dora.
Dora just hasn't really clicked. And then this COVID, I mean,
and you don't ever know what's going to happen with coming back from sitting out 2 games.
When you're talking 1 week, it's different.
Right.
We have off weeks now, but 2 weeks?
Yeah. All right, we've got Corner at Briarwood. This is going to be an absolute, just
I think we can go all in on Briarwood.
Briarwood.
Yeah.
I think Corner will play. I mean, they almost beat Center Point. They can score.
Johnathan Bentley.
But, I don't know.
You think Corner
No, I mean, I picked Briarwood, yes.
Johnathan Bentley.
Everybody said Center Point would blow them out. It was 46-43.
Hey, everybody did not say Center Point would blow them out. I said that would be an extremely close game.
It was a lot close. I did not think it would be close.
I think the wind's taken out of Corner sales right now. I mean, that was for a playoff berth last week.
That's right. Corner's going nowhere now.
I know. Yeah.
And Briarwood Christian it's going to be bad, I'm telling you.
And this isn't a rivalry game
I hope
either,
Corner stays in it, though. I do hope you stay in it.
And I give them credit for picking that game up.
Oh, yeah, picking up Briarwood?
They didn't have to play them.
No. Okay, how about Jasper hosting Bessemer City?
There's another team I think that's going to take out a lot of frustrations. That's Jasper.
I think so too.
Bessemer City. I think you consider, I had told this to Johnathan earlier on, Bessemer's only scored 70 points this year.
Right.
Okay, 43 of those points came in one victory, 43-0 against Brookwood.
Yeah.
Okay, the only other win they had was a 1-0 forfeit win over Hueytown. So you consider Bessemer can't move the ball. Jasper's been on a hot streak since Spencer Rosenfeld came back. I see Jasper's going to put up a lot of points.
I honestly do think Jasper's going to score a lot of points in this one. You saw their offense. They scored 33 points last week against Pinson Valley, who's one of the best teams in any classification. And then with what you said with Rosenfeld coming back, he's thrown the ball really well the last couple of weeks. What do you think?
Yeah, and I mean, it's a perfect way to end the season.
That's right.
We talked about them ending on a hot streak, even though it's 2-1, but good grief.
Yeah.
Well, from what they were facing a couple weeks ago.
There's 17 seniors on that team that have really, had some ups and downs in their careers. This is their third head coach in those 4 years. And to go from winning 22 games in 2 seasons to 3 wins possibly this year is quite a step down as far as the wins go. But this has been a team that has fought the entire season in a very, very tough region. So
They've had their moments this year.
And they have.
Even in some of those losses.
Yeah. So Jasper's going to win this one.
Yeah.
Okay. This one.
I think the game will feature a lot of offense because, as we know, Cordova can pass the ball extremely well. Oakman's offense is very diverse. They've got a lot more weapons. The thing that I think is going to be the key in this, Oakman has a really good pass rush. I think in the backfield with their secondary, they also can match up very well. And unfortunately, that's one of the few deficits that Cordova has really struggled the most with this year is on defense. We saw them against Parker just giving up huge amounts of territory. So I see this as being close, but I'm definitely going to Oakman.
Yeah. What about you, Johnathan?
I'm also going Oakman. I mean, I think the matchup's better for Oakman, a passing team, as opposed to like Vinemont that just ran the ball all the time and, controlled the clock. Their playmakers will probably get loose and get some big yardage, big touchdowns. but I've missed this pick probably 5 years in a row.
Right,
you know?
yeah.
Well, I mean, what I know.
And that's what we were talking about earlier, is that you never know who's going to win this game.
Yeah. I mean, I can't pick it, but I am going Oakman. That's probably not a good thing for them.
Right, right. And I'm with you guys. Like, I think Oakman, just, you know, look at the two teams. Oakman's got more athletes. Oakman's got more talent on the field. Oakman's bigger and stronger.
Up front,
Yeah.
to me, is a big one.
Yeah, but then you never know. A scrappy bunch of Blue Devils could come up and just say, you know, we want it more than these guys.
Well, they really don't have anything to lose in this situation.
Right.
This is basically their playoff
They're
game.
playing all out. This is their state championship game, is to upset Oakman before they go to the playoffs.
That's right.
But I'm still taking Oakman.
You know, Cordova always is scrappy, even
Yeah.
when they're not good.
Right, yeah.
Those kids always play hard.
Yeah,
So it's a Cordova thing.
Yeah, yeah. And that's a Walker County thing. That's, you know, hard-working, blue-collar, two teams that are going to get out there and just absolutely pound each other. And I think it's going to be a great game.
I do too.
And you'll be there
Yeah, we'll be broadcasting our final game of the year.
on 88.5 FM. You and Chuck Dunn. I'll be at the Jasper game, walking the sidelines. You can listen to it on 101.5 FM. And where are you going?
I'll be recovering from volleyball. I don't know.
You'll probably be at a couple of games taking pictures or something.
Yeah,
right?
I'll be somewhere.
And other than that, Johnathan does all the page layout. So when you see all the nice pictures in the paper, Johnathan Bentley is the one that puts
He
it
didn't
together.
take them.
No,
but he
not
did
most
put
of the
them
time.
on,
You don't take the good ones anyway. And then our unsung hero is the guy behind the camera, Jeffrey Winborn, who puts all this together and makes us look good. And then he goes to the ball games on Friday nights and gets some video footage of each one of them. And he will be at Cordova and Oakman as well.
That's right.
All right, guys. Well, anything else before we go?
I'm good.
You are?
Believe it or not.
You good?
Is Jeffrey going to be screaming War Eagle this week?
Oh, yeah. It's LSU and Auburn, right? Yeah, Jeffrey will be an Auburn fan.
They need all the help they can get.
Yeah.
Well,
the SEC's kind of helped them enough, so.
yeah. Yeah, that's true. We won't talk about that, right?
What was it? What
They
can you
can't
say?
find us, guys.
No, they can't. I really plan on doing an editorial in the Sunday paper on y'all's page about how I'm pro Lane Kiffin now.
Yeah.
Because he had the guts enough to stand up against the SEC officiating. And how does this make sense? We admit that we completely screwed up. Like, we completely screwed up. But we're going to fine you $25,000 for saying we screwed up.
Guys, I've said this time and time again. There needs to be a consortium that gets a law group together and basically hits the hammer down on the SEC, the NFL, the NBA, anytime that says, we're going to fine you for criticizing our officials. Is that not against the First Amendment? You criticize a governing body?
Right. Well, here's the deal. Being in the business that we're in, you have to have tough skin. If you're an official or people who control the officials, you should have tough enough skin that if a coach, because that's not going to happen every week. They're not going to complain about officials every week. Coaches like to say, okay, they missed a call here or there, but our team's who cost us the game.
Right.
This was flat out, the officials cost them the game 2 times on one drive. So that's only going to happen once a season.
That second time wasn't that cut and dry. You talking about that fumble?
Fumble, yeah. That
They
was a fumble.
we didn't even get another shot of it. But the first one was bad enough.
First one was bad enough. It was a
just give me
touchdown.
break.
That took that took the game from Ole Miss.
They would have had an 8-point lead
Right.
after that.
So SEC officials, grow some tough skin, okay? Because you screw up every now
It
and
was not our
And it's
local guy,
okay.
by the way.
then. It was not our local guy.
No.
Philip Davenport, we're not talking about you. Don't call in. We're
Right.
buddies, okay? Jeff Johnson's the only one that don't like you, right? From that Auburn LSU game. Me and Davenport talked about that. Him and Johnson.
Well, he did. Well, anyway, it was not his fault this time.
Right. Well, all right. We've talked enough about that. For you two guys, I'm James Phillips. We'll see you when me and Brian wrap up all these games on Saturday morning.